Hey, so this is a continuation on to the last reading. I noticed in editing there was symbolic reference to the snake, as well as the egg was referenced as the divine gift that was coming your way, the rare gift, what I would reference as a miracle, because I listened to the song by Mika again, and it had said something about glory, like there was no glory, there was no happy ending, there was no recognition for all of the effort, all of the hard work. I heard labor, so there was a lot of labor that went into past efforts that seemed to have gone nowhere, which really affected your sacral, like what we were talking about. It affected your ability to create, and that's what was being referenced with that egg. It's like a new beginning. That new soul card is coming through again with the baby symbolism. And there was that card also that talked about, there was the egg that was on the lips, and so it reminded me about a snake devouring the eggs in a nest, which was a vision that had come to me when our own home was under attack, because it was people close to us. I know snakes that can represent transformation, but so can so many other animals. And when I think about the transformation of a snake, it doesn't remind me of like the transformation of a frog, from a tadpole to a frog, with the maturity process, or like the transformation of a caterpillar to a butterfly. It reminds me of a snake turning into a bigger snake, right? So what kind of transformation is actually occurring there? And I just couldn't let it go because of the karmic cycle card that had come up as well. I wanted to elaborate on that energy a little bit, because I had also noticed in editing the contrast with the cat. I hope that this lighting is okay. With the contrast of the black cats. There was the black cat in the background and then the black cat in the card, and it was talking about good luck versus bad luck and our perception on certain situations, omens, and outcomes. And it was reminding me with that reflective tendency there about familiar spirits. And what Spirit had told me recently about familiar spirits was that the devil likes to utilize them for several generations. And so you may, growing up as a child, come into contact with a certain spirit, and when you meet that same spirit in somebody in the future, like for example with dating partners or even friendships, you might feel like you know them on a soul level. You might feel like, hey, I probably know you from a past life. But what it actually is this familiar spirit that knew you as a child, because, for example, it could be somebody that reflects a spirit that your parent had, or it reflects a spirit of somebody that your parent used to bring around. So it's that kind of battle that I think we're up against, and I feel like it could be either good, right? It could feel good, like, oh, like for the example of a type, right? Like dating the same type of person over and over. Or it can feel ominous and bad. Like if you've ever met somebody and just felt their stare burning into the back of your head, right? When you're standing there and just minding your own business, living life, and they're just like sending hate your way for no apparent reason, and you feel that weird energy, but you probably learned to dismiss it, right? No, there's something there, and that's something that Spirit wanted me to talk about, was with that familiar spirit, or that familiar energy, because I know the black cat can sometimes be referenced as a familiar, but in a good way, like a protective spirit. But in this case, I was feeling kind of weird about it with the snake energy, and so I feel like there could be somebody in your life that you used to feel safe around, you used to feel like home, but now is feeling more so like a threat towards the next generation, towards your household, towards your stability. Because I rolled the dice, and when I first rolled it in my lap, I got Aquarius and Jupiter energy, but I didn't see what house it landed in before. I don't know what I was thinking. I like picked it up without looking at it, and so I rolled the dice again on the table, and I got Uranus, Taurus, and fourth house, which is the same thing I rolled in a prior reading just recently, and so that kind of was interesting. I think that is talking about surprises, right? Uranus, I feel like in the positive light, can be a representation of miraculous happenings. And going back to that no glory, right? I feel like there's sudden change, something sudden. Remember thinking back on those cards with the lightning, that sudden going from slow and being patient to everything moves suddenly. So this Uranus energy coming in, based in our material wealth, the second house of Taurus, and the fourth house of our home and our roots, our family. So that's the energy that's applying here. With it being paired with Jupiter, I just feel like it's like a miracle, right? Something that the glory has to be to God. Because if you put in all the effort, because Taurus is also a representation of labor, right? And you put in all the effort, but you haven't seen like the fruits of your labor, and you have heavy Taurus placements, that can be very frustrating. I mean, it's frustrating for anybody. I feel like if you are resonating with this message and the prior message, you are somebody that is a giver, a humanitarian, somebody that is always wanting to rescue these soulmate connections that come and go throughout your life. And that could be why you kind of linger sometimes a little bit longer than you need to in some of these connections, and inadvertently sign up. Remember the contract, the symbolism that I come through. Sign up for some of their own karmic cycles that tend to play on repeat when they refuse to learn the lesson. So I want to pull us a card. I was also picking up on the story of the giver recently, and it was talking about, if you haven't read that story, I think they also made it into a movie. It talks about this new society that takes place, I think, in the future, and it's more so like there is no pain, there is no sadness, you're just assigned a family, you're assigned a housing unit, and you don't really get to experience life. It's actually in black and white, if I remember correctly. They don't even like perceive color. And there's only one person that's passed on this knowledge, this ancient knowledge of what it's like to hurt, to bleed, to lose somebody, to love, to experience joy, to experience color, to experience not only the sadness that life has to offer, but also the joyous and the happy times, right? And it's like, if we were given this choice, if there could be a reality without the heartbreak, without the agony, and in contrast, removing all of the pleasures and the beauty of what has been created here in our reality, would we and should we? These are all things that, philosophically speaking, we could ponder, and in a metaphorical sense, we could find appreciation in some of the suffering in our life so that we are able to gain that gift, that, I'm hearing rarity, that essence of knowledge from that experience, and to be able to gift that to the next generation or to certain connections that come through. Something that I heard right before I started channeling as well was a train, and I was thinking, oh, the train, because I used to live next to a train many, many years ago, like 20 years ago. I was like, oh, the train. And I was like, wait, I don't live next to the train. So I don't know what that was. It must have been a clairaudient experience, but I thought that was interesting as well. So we'll see if the train comes up. So the first card we have out, it says Simplicity. And she's sitting here next to a monstera leaf. And it says, minimalism heals the soul. You're not defined by your possessions. Design a simple life. And so tapping into simplicity with not only our material possessions, but the connections that we keep around us. Because I know, like, if you look at this picture, I don't know what she has in her hand, but it almost looks like a jar, like an empty jar. And it could be that you might feel like you need to have certain connections around, and it's like this borrow a cup of sugar type of feeling, this feeling of lack, of not being able to trust yourself when it comes to being able to survive. But this monstera leaf is a beautiful, lush, green leaf. And monsteras are kind of picky. They're kind of divas. They don't like to be in extreme conditions or to go without. This is a very lush green leaf, and monstera leaves don't split if they're not happy. And as you can see, that leaf is as perfect as can be. And so I feel like through simplifying your life, you're going to learn how much easier, how much less stressful it is to have less connections around you that you have to worry about being snakes, right? But also there's more abundance, there's more comfort here with the symbolism there. I'm also picking up on trust in me from the Jungle Book. It's like that jungle energy, that tropical energy is something that I'm feeling here. It says, you've given up destructive habits. You maintain balance in your life, starting to manifest your spiritual being, a level 5 consciousness. And it shows the green energy flowing through her. So there's something about growth, heart energy. Heart energy. It says service. You put others before yourself. Lesson learned. My cards are trying to blow away. Lessons learned from give and take, here to be of service to others. And that could be a reference to that Aquarius energy as well. I always think of them as the humanitarian. Kind of what I'm feeling too with that green energy is the need to grow things, the need to kind of disconnect from that modern society of everything being artificial, our food being artificial, our dependency on modern medicine and technology, and just kind of getting away from the faster pace of things is something that's coming through with all of that green energy as well. Maybe learning to grow your own food, getting back to that simple way of living in many ways, maybe not completely, but in many ways. That's something that your soul is calling out for you to do. We have home and family when I split the deck, as well as trailblazer, and the trailblazer is in reverse. I think the moon symbolism was also in the Mika song that I'm still picking up on. So it says, building a loving home, a strong sense of family obligation and fulfillment through family, as my teenager storms through the house because she has to do her chores. And then the Trailblazer card says, you're meant to be a trailblazer, here to blaze a trail for others. You will be first to do something. And I feel like it was in reverse because there is this, I'm hearing amplification. Yeah, I think that's a word, of impact for the next generation. I'm feeling like you aren't able to see that far ahead about how your actions in the recent years and in the years to come have on the future generations and your bloodline, right? And I'm hearing a werewolf howl right now with this full moon, and so it's that transformative energy, and a werewolf would be super surprising, right? To see a man transform into this monster, right? Unless it's a friendly werewolf, like in Twilight, right? Building a loving home, a strong sense of family obligation and fulfillment through family. I'm also feeling this idea that you have to give or rescue certain family members because you grew up with them or because they helped raise you in some way. You might have this level of respect or this level of love in your heart, right? That is hard to get past. But Spirit is wanting for you to be able to see past right now, to be able to see how your actions today are impacting several generations to come. I'm feeling drawn especially to the moon energy. It's showing its face towards me with the dice. And so there's something to do with the moon. There. We got Born Witch, and there's the black cat again. Born a natural witch. Magic is both your spiritual path and job. Your success will come as a witch. And I'm feeling just this energy of using your magic, wielding your magic, Spirit's saying, and claiming this spiritual authority within your bloodline, because I feel like you are a dreamer. You're somebody that has been blessed with a dream by God, And it comes up every once in a while to reassure you and to remind you and to redirect you that you're not alone. There's certain purpose and destiny promised to you. And I feel like it's meant to be something big, because going back to that, not being able to see the fruits of your labor, I feel like a lot of it has to do with clearing out, simplifying those connections, those soul ties, and something else that's coming through is giving these connections time to kind of like repent, or to come to an understanding of why forgiveness is needed on both ends, because sometimes people are oblivious to like why there has been an upset in the connection in the first place. So I'm feeling like, what do we have here? Responsibility and trailblazer again. You have this responsibility, right, to kind of give them that time to redirect themselves. And I'm not saying you physically have that responsibility, but it's like God has that responsibility to give them that time to redirect themselves, especially if it's something that's going to affect their future generations as well. Oh my gosh. Karmic bonds, I swear. What's the card behind it that's trying to come out? It says stardom. So we have karmic bonds here. So sorry about that. I was looking at this karmic bonds card and the clouds, and I know that he floated up to the clouds too in that music video by Mika. A pre-birth agreement to fulfill uncomfortable and binding relationships, identify them, and break free. So yeah, you might be uncomfortable right now, and that could be contributing to your feeling of impatience, or that need to like break free of your current circumstance. What is it about the stardom card? Because I saw it trying to peek out. Let's see if I can get, I'm gonna get some tarot to clarify the stardom card. Sorry, it's windy out here and I cannot stand the feeling of hair in my face and when it sticks to my face. So if I keep touching my face, that's why. Okay, so can you clarify the stardom card, please? Okay, so we have the Six of Fire. So recognition, some kind of, I mean, this could be fame in certain situations. It could even be like a 15 minutes of fame type of moment, or some kind of viral moment is something that's coming through for some of you. I'm also thinking with the lion symbolism here, I'm feeling like courage, confidence, having your voice heard, royalty, king of the jungle, right? I was picking up on jungle vibes. Achieving a high social status, famous in entertainment, social media famous. I feel like if you've been experiencing any kind of issues in the home and issues with your family, but you've been doing the work, the healing work, the inner work, the breaking those karmic cycles, understanding those repeating patterns and breaking free from them, I feel like you're going to be receiving some kind of upgrade in life because you did the work. So it's time for the fruit of the labor to come through, right? Okay, so we have Six of Water. This is talking about soulmate connections. And what is it about these soulmate connections? Because I'm getting like mixed messages with the snake symbolism, but also feeling like for some, like, is it a snake or is it a butterfly? Is it a transformation that's worth allowing this connection back into your life, or is it something that's going to be playing on repeat? Because I was hearing earlier, Oops, I Did It Again by Britney Spears. Yeah. We got Queen of Fire, and she came out in reverse, which is talking about insecurities, jealousy. I mean, in the upright, paired with the other cards here, I would think again it was an indication of the stardom card, but I feel like because she landed in reverse, this is somebody that might be coming through because of the stardom, you know what I mean? Like, They see that you're coming up in success. They're seeing that you're starting to gain momentum. That sudden change that came through, it's like the reverse of a tower moment, came through, which can only be a miracle. 4 of air in reverse. A time of restoration, a time of healing, well deserved, coming through. And being mindful of the connections that want to pull you back into old habits, old patterns, old behaviors, or to cast certain illusions onto you. Yeah, Ace of Air came out on its side. So it's up to you to determine what is true, what is their opinion that they're casting onto you, because those are the type of spells, right? With the last reading, that was something else that came through, where like these, what we used to call in the corporate world were compliment sandwiches, where they would give you a compliment and then feedback and then compliment. And that was a way to kind of ease the blow when they were giving you criticism. Instead of leaving the meeting feeling like they hate you, you're going to leave the meeting saying like, okay, this is what I'm going to work on, but I'm still in good standing, right? They still love me. It's all good. And depending on how close the snake is allowed to get to you, that can be really detrimental, especially when it comes to your sacral and your ability to create. So with the Queen of Fire, she has some little baby dragons behind her, but I'm really drawn to the staff here. And the story of Moses, where when he was speaking with God, God instructed him to throw his staff down, and it turned into a snake. Being that he had an Egyptian background, he would typically pick up the snake by its head, but God instructed him to pick up the snake by the tail. Knowing that he would most likely get bit that way, he still picked up the snake by the tail because he wanted to remain obedient to God. And what God was doing was testing Moses to see if he was willing to abandon his old worldly way of doing things and listen to the instructions that God was giving to him. So that's something that, yeah, 6 of Earth, look at that. Doesn't that look like somebody who's like passing out, something, knowledge, for one? And Six of Earth also talks about charity, and so this could be literal charity. If you are somebody who is suddenly wealthy, for example, and people start coming out of the woodworks to start asking you for favors, to start funding their business, to start helping them with this and that. With the carousel in reverse, this is talking about not getting caught in those same repeating cycles, because you can be somebody, with the going back to the giver reference, you can be somebody that overgives because God created you to give. God, as a gift from the Holy Spirit, you were born with the need to give. And there are certain energies in this life that can take advantage of that, that can recognize that, that can flock towards you because of that and use you up until you are absolutely nothing. Because I'm literally staring at a lithium battery right now. It says lithium battery. So God doesn't want you to do that. And if you have been in this season of being invisible and not being able to get recognition for your work, it could be because of this level of protection, this bubble around you, this illusion that was cast over you as a miracle, as a blessing, to be able to keep you safe from being used up into nothing. Because you can, there is such a thing as being too nice and too giving, and to have that be a shadow attribute when normally it would be a blessing. Normally it would be something that you came equipped with in your arsenal for a reason. And it's kind of like if you had a gun and you went onto a battlefield and the enemy used the gun against you. Suddenly the weapon that was meant to protect you is your demise, right? 2 of Earth. So it's like balancing out that energy. 3 of Air in reverse, talking about healing, getting over that betrayal, getting over that heartache, or it could be extreme heartache and betrayal, leaving you in this Queen of Air energy where you just don't really take any nonsense. And so that redlining of the contract, I feel like with the Queen of Air energy of being the intellectual, I think that it's talking about the ball is in your court, okay? It's like this negotiation setting where somebody comes to you and with an offer to reconcile, and you are able to make these boundaries. They're kind of like demands, but boundaries, right? Like, I'm only going to accept this, and it's literally putting a red line through your karmic contract, through the soul tie that you guys have with one another. Is what's coming through with the symbolism of the last reading. I'm going to link it so you guys can see what I'm talking about if you want. But yeah, wounded healer energy, 9 of fire. This is talking about the ant. Okay, I picked up on ant energy earlier of being an ancient creature that you've been studied for so long that your blessings, your habits, your mannerisms are starting to be used against you in a spiritual sense. Yeah, so be careful of that. We have the Judgment card in reverse. This is the card that came out in the pre-shuffle. I ended up putting it back because I was like, I don't know if this is going to be a new reading or it's going to tie into the last reading, but it's definitely all connected. So that song Sell Your Soul this was the card that I referenced in that reading, or message or whatever I had wrote, describing that when he pulled the heart of Satan out, I looked down and I saw this human heart on the scale where this deity is weighing the weight of this heart against the feather of truth. And behind him are all of these mythical creatures. We have Green Man. There's a bull, like the face of a bull here, indicating either the Taurus energy or, like what I've been telling you guys, it usually to me symbolizes this spirit, this demonic spirit that's been following certain bloodlines around. It also has, I think, a goddess here. It has a mermaid, a fairy, a black cat with wings, angel wings, and a phoenix. And then there's also this fox here, and I think he has flies on him. I don't know if they're dragonflies or flies, but he has he's a fox, and sometimes the fox comes through as trickster energy, being the shapeshifter, the energy, the spirit that comes through as a friend, but really is trying to deceive you in some way. Okay, so I really hope you guys can see. So there's something symbolic there, and unfolding your unique abilities. And notice she's wearing a crown of roses, and so, or flowers, I should say, some blossoms. And I just heard you suppose she's a wildflower. So noticing the beauty in you, the wonderful in you. Wonderful in You by Carol Emerald is a song that's coming through. Look at the rainbows and the moon. I know I said it would be the last. I lied. But in a good way. It was a hidden blessing type of fib, right? It says you're beginning to live from spirit. You know how to heal others' pain. You connect with others emotionally. And then we have newborn soul, and it's a baby inside of the moon. Novices of physical existence, lessons, basic skills, survival, flesh, traits, untamed, childlike, and unrefined. So this is the second time in the last two readings that this newborn soul or this young soul has come forward. And it could be talking about a few different things, because remember the song Home for Christmas is talking about even if only in my dreams. And there could be a spirit baby around you that's coming through that could be born by Christmas, or that you can find out has been conceived by Christmas. Or it could be some kind of creative new project or a new beginning for your family and for your home, for that fourth house energy. It could even be a whole fresh start for your bloodline. I mean, it could be that big, if depending on the situation and the glory that God is trying to shine on your family and on your testimony. Because I know behind every huge miracle there is a moving testimony that drives others to believe and to have faith and to have that hope and to believe that their day of glory is also going to come. It says, untamed, childlike, and unrefined. I also think that this is talking about having that energy of not really giving a flip if anyone likes it or not, and It's like a child. If you tried to tell somebody who's 5 or below, you can't play like that. Like, you're supposed to play like this. They would be like, no, you listen to me. I've been playing Barbies like this since I could remember. And I'm going to continue playing Barbies like this. Like, that's kind of that energy that you need to have when it comes to your gift, because it's quite literally as sacred as this baby here, as this precious gift, as this life, right? There's life in what you have to offer to this world. Before we go, actually, I wanted to pull a random verse from the Bible, because my angels did tell me to grab it before we started. So, Spirit, what is it you'd like us to know, please? So we have 1 Chronicles. It says, David becomes king over Israel. All Israel came together to David at Hebron and said, we are your own flesh and blood. In the past, even while Saul was king, you were the one who led Israel on their military campaigns, and the Lord your God said unto you, you will shepherd my people Israel, and you will become their ruler. When all the elders of Israel had come to King David at Hebron, he made a covenant with them before the Lord, and they anointed King David king over Israel, as the Lord had promised through Samuel. So I feel like symbolically this is talking about if God has brought to you through your dreams some kind of promise, especially with relation to royalty, with the 6 of Wands that had come through, that's still coming. You will shepherd my people Israel, and you will become their ruler. God said unto you, you will shepherd my people Israel, and you will become their ruler. And I remember that card where he had the ram, and he was giving, and I felt like it was knowledge, charitable knowledge to some of the sheep, right? Not that I'm calling anybody sheep, but it's just like the reference, right? The symbolic reference. So that's going to be our reading today. I hope it's helpful. And I want to thank you for being here. And I want to encourage you to hold the faith that these flowers are coming in for you. Okay? Thank you for being here. Thank you to God. Thank you to the angels for helping us with this message. And take care.